I sat in the third row of the auditorium, close enough to see Emma's fingers trembling over the piano keys during warm-up, far enough back that the overhead lights created long shadows across the polished wood floor. The air smelled like lemon furniture polish and the faint must of velvet curtains that had hung there for decades. Parents murmured around me, programs rustling, phones silenced. I had arrived 20 minutes early, the way I always did for Emma's performances. I saved 2 seats, one for me, one for the woman I'd been married to for 14 years. Rachel arrived 7 minutes before curtain. I heard her laugh first, that particular bright pitch she used in public. She walked down the center aisle with a man I'd never seen before. Tall, pressed shirt, confident stride. They stopped at my row. She didn't look at me when she spoke. "David, this is Marcus. He's sitting with me tonight." I looked up at her. She was already moving past me, guiding him to seats 4 rows ahead, closer to the stage. The seats I'd saved remained empty beside me. My hands stayed folded in my lap. I didn't call after her. I didn't stand. My chest didn't tighten with anger. It tightened with something colder, something more permanent. The lights dimmed. Emma walked onto the stage in her blue dress, the one Rachel and I had picked out together 3 weeks ago. She found me in the audience, gave a small wave. I waved back. She didn't look for her mother. She already knew where Rachel would be sitting, and who would be sitting beside her. They had no idea what they'd set in motion. My name is David Marsden. I'm 51 years old. For the past 18 years, I'd worked as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized medical supply company. The kind of job where success means nobody notices you, where competence is invisible until something breaks. Rachel and I had been married since she was 26 and I was 37. We bought the house when Emma was 2. 3 bedrooms, good school district, mortgage we could manage. On paper, we looked stable. Stability, I'd learned, is different from strength. The erosion had been gradual. Small moments I'd catalog without naming. 2 years ago, during a dinner with her colleagues, Rachel had corrected me mid-story about a vacation we'd taken. "That's not how it happened," she'd said, smiling at the table. "David has a creative memory." Everyone laughed. I'd let it go. 6 months after that, I'd suggested we refinance the mortgage to lock in lower rates. She'd waved her hand. "You handle the boring stuff," she'd said. "I trust your judgment on things like that." It sounded like a compliment. It felt like dismissal. Last Christmas, her sister asked what I did for work. Before I could answer, Rachel said, "He pushes papers, keeps the lights on." She was pouring wine when she said it, her tone light, conversational. I was standing 3 feet away, holding a plate of cookies I'd baked that morning. Her sister nodded and changed the subject. I let it go. I let a lot go. The piano recital ended at 8:40. Emma played Claire de Lune without a single mistake. I waited in the lobby while she collected her things backstage. Parents clustered in small groups, congratulating each other. I saw Rachel and Marcus standing near the refreshment table. He had his hand on the small of her back. She was laughing, head tilted up toward him. When Emma emerged, she ran to me first. "Did you see? I didn't mess up the hard part." "You were perfect," I said. Rachel approached, Marcus trailing slightly behind. She kissed Emma's forehead, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't decode. Not guilt, something closer to impatience. "Marcus and I are going to grab dinner. You'll take Emma home?" It wasn't a question. Emma's face fell, just slightly, but she recovered fast. She was used to recovering. "Sure," I said. Rachel touched Marcus's elbow, and they left through the front doors. I watched them through the glass. He opened the car door for her. She slid inside without looking back. Emma and I drove home in near silence. She asked if we could stop for ice cream. We did. She ordered mint chip and a waffle cone and talked about the other performers, about her piano teacher's feedback, about anything except what we'd both witnessed. I listened. I responded. I kept my voice steady. When we got home, Rachel's car wasn't in the driveway. Emma went upstairs to shower. I stood in the kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd made breakfast that morning, where I'd packed Emma's lunch, where I'd left a note for Rachel reminding her about the recital time. The note was still on the counter, unread. I sat at the table. I didn't call Rachel. I didn't text. My hands were steady. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Rachel came home at 11:30. I was still at the kitchen table, laptop open, notepad beside me. She dropped her purse on the counter, kicked off her heels. Emma asleep? Yes. She poured herself water, leaned against the counter. Marcus is a colleague from the marketing firm. We're working on a campaign together. I looked at her. You brought a colleague to our daughter's recital and sat with him instead of me? Don't be dramatic. You're making it weird. I'm not making anything. I'm naming what happened. She set the glass down harder than necessary. You know what your problem is, David? You make everything about you. I can have friends. I can have a professional life. Not everything is a betrayal. I closed my laptop. You're right. Not everything is. The way I said it made her pause. She studied my face, looking for the argument she expected, the defensiveness she could dismiss. She didn't find it. We'll talk tomorrow, she said finally. I'm exhausted. She went upstairs. I stayed at the table. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. The next morning I called my attorney. His name was Ben Richter, someone I'd worked with years ago on contract reviews. I met him at his office at 9 a.m. Rachel thought I was running errands. I need to understand my position, I told him, financially, legally, regarding custody. Ben took notes. He asked questions I'd already prepared answers for. When I left his office 90 minutes later, I had a clear roadmap. Documentation, evidence, timeline, no sudden moves. I went home and began the inventory. Bank statements going back 3 years, credit card records, mortgage documents, emails, text messages. I didn't search frantically. I worked methodically, the way I approached everything in my job. By that evening, I had a folder on my desktop labeled Financial Review 2024. It contained 37 documents. Rachel's behavior shifted over the following week. She became more present, more attentive with Emma. She suggested a family movie night. She asked about my day. I responded normally, warmly even. I didn't confront. I didn't accuse. I documented. On Thursday, she asked if we could talk. We sat in the living room, the television off, the house quiet. I think we need some space, she said, to figure out what we want. I'm not saying divorce. I'm saying clarity. What does space look like to you? Maybe you could stay at a hotel for a few weeks. Give us both room to breathe. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, if you want space, you're welcome to find it. This is Emma's home. I'm not leaving her. Her expression hardened. You're being unreasonable. I'm being clear. If you need space, take it. I'll be here. She left the room. An hour later, she left the house. She didn't come back that night. Over the next 2 weeks, the messages started. First, they were conciliatory. Can we talk? I miss you. I miss us. I responded briefly, politely. Then they turned sharp. You're punishing me. You're using Emma. This is emotional abuse. I screenshotted everything. I didn't engage. Her sister called. Rachel's worried about you. She says you're acting strange. I'm acting the same as I always have, I said, but thank you for checking in. Her mother called. Marriage is work, David. You can't just shut down when things get hard. You're right, I said. Marriage is work. I've been working at it for 14 years. I didn't explain further. Silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. On a Tuesday afternoon, my bank sent an alert. Rachel had attempted to transfer $12,000 from our joint savings account to an account I didn't recognize. The transfer was blocked. Our account required dual authorization for amounts over $5,000. I'd set that up years ago as a basic safeguard. I called Ben immediately. This changes things, he said. Document it. We may need to move faster than we planned. That evening, Rachel came home. She walked into the kitchen where I was making dinner. Emma was upstairs doing homework. The bank blocked a transfer today, she said. Her voice was controlled, but I could hear the edge beneath it. I saw the alert. I need access to that money. It's mine too. It's ours. That's why the safeguard exists. You're controlling me. You're trying to trap me here. I set down the knife I was using to cut vegetables. I looked at her directly. I've never controlled you. I've provided for you. There's a difference. Marcus says, I don't care what Marcus says. Marcus doesn't live in this house. He doesn't pay the mortgage. He doesn't raise Emma. Her face flushed. You're jealous. I'm not jealous. I'm awake. She stared at me. For the first time, I saw something shift in her expression. Uncertainty. She left without another word. The legal proceedings began in early December. Ben filed on my behalf. Rachel hired an attorney I recognized from her social circle, someone expensive and aggressive. Discovery requests went back and forth. Bank records, employment histories, correspondence. Rachel's attorney sent a letter claiming I was financially abusive, emotionally unavailable, and an unfit co-parent. Ben responded with a 3-page rebuttal supported by 14 exhibits. Bank statements showing I'd covered 90% of household expenses for 3 years while Rachel's income went largely toward personal expenditures. Text messages showing I'd attended every single school event, medical appointment, and parent-teacher conference for Emma. Character references from Emma's teachers, our neighbors, and my employer. Rachel's narrative began to collapse under the weight of documentation. On a Friday in mid-December, we met for a mediation session. It was held in a conference room on the 8th floor of an office building downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Rachel arrived with her attorney. She wore a navy suit, heels, makeup carefully applied. She looked composed. She looked ready to perform. Ben and I sat across from them. I wore slacks and a button-down shirt, no tie. I'd brought a single folder. Her attorney opened. My client is seeking primary custody of the minor child, 50% division of all marital assets, and spousal support for a period of 5 years to account for career sacrifices made during the marriage. Ben looked at me. I nodded. He opened his folder and slid a document across the table. Before we discuss terms, we'd like to address a few factual matters. Page 3 outlines bank transfers made by Mrs. Marsden over the past 18 months. Total amount, $47,000. All transferred to an account held jointly with Marcus Delacroix. Rachel's attorney picked up the document. Her face went pale. Ben continued. Page 7 includes text messages between Mrs. Marsden and Mr. Delacroix, dated from August forward, discussing plans to liquidate shared assets and start fresh. Page 9 is a lease agreement for a 2-bedroom apartment signed by both Mrs. Marsden and Mr. Delacroix, dated November 2nd. Rachel was staring at the table. Her attorney was reading quickly, lips pressed into a thin line. I spoke for the first time. I didn't come here to destroy you, Rachel. I came here to protect Emma and myself. She looked up. Her eyes were wet. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? She didn't answer. Her attorney cleared her throat. We'd like to request a recess to review these materials. Of course, Ben said. We reconvened 2 hours later. Rachel's demands had shifted. She was now seeking joint custody, a standard division of assets, and no spousal support. In exchange, she asked that I not contest her relationship with Marcus or make it part of the public record. I looked at Ben. He raised an eyebrow, waiting for my direction. I looked at Rachel. I'm not interested in punishing you. I'm interested in stability for Emma. Joint custody works if we can co-parent without conflict. The money gets divided fairly, which means accounting for the $47,000 you moved. And Marcus stays away from Emma until she's ready to meet him. On her terms, not yours. Rachel nodded slowly. Okay. One more thing, I said. You don't get to rewrite this story. You don't get to tell people I abandoned you or failed you or wasn't enough. You made choices. You own them. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I know. We signed the agreement 3 weeks later. Rachel moved out in January. Emma stayed with me during the school week, with Rachel on weekends. The transition was hard on Emma, but she adjusted. Kids are resilient in ways that break your heart. On a Sunday morning in February, I woke to sunlight coming through the bedroom window. The house was quiet. Emma was at Rachel's for the weekend. I made coffee, sat on the back porch, watched the frost melt off the grass. The air was cold and clean. My breath made small clouds. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt unburdened. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes it's the moment you stop explaining yourself and start trusting your own clarity. Rachel had needed me to be small so she could feel justified in leaving. But I wasn't small. I was just quiet. And in that quiet, I built something stronger than any argument I could have shouted. If you'd been in my place, would you have fought louder, or would you have trusted the quiet? Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Your presence means more than you know. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Let's keep walking this road together.